Hello everyone. Now let's discuss about the development of the pancreas. Now you already know we have the gut tube, right? So let us just start from the basics. You already know this is the gut tube, right? This is the gut tube. Now this gut tube, it has three parts, right? It is divided into three parts: the foregut, the midgut, and the hindgut, right? The foregut, midgut, and hindgut. Now you already know the gut tube. It is endodermal in origin. That is, it is derived from the yolk sac. So it is endodermal in origin, right? Now, development of the pancreas. If we talk about the development of pancreas, it starts around fourth week, right? It starts around fourth week, and there will be two buds which will be developing. Okay, in the distal part of the foregut. Okay, there will be two buds which will be developing in the distal part of the foregut, and these two buds are called as the ventral bud. Okay, the ventral bud and the dorsal bud. The ventral bud and the dorsal bud. Now let me just show you. If like I've drawn this tube in a very straight line, if like assume now this is the anterior abdominal wall, right? And this is the posterior abdominal wall. Let us suppose like this, right? Now anterior abdominal and posterior abdominal wall, and in between we have this gut tube, right? We have this gut tube, right? So yes, we have the portion of the foregut, midgut, and hindgut, right? Like this. Now there are two buds which are developing. There are two buds which are developing. A very small bud, right, at the distal portion of the foregut, and one big bud that is called as the dorsal bud. One is towards anterior side, so it is called as the ventral bud. Okay, ventral pancreatic bud, right? And one is towards the dorsal side, towards the posterior side, so it is also called as the dorsal pancreatic bud. Dorsal pancreatic bud. Now dorsal pancreatic bud, it is a little above, so it is a little cephalic from the ventral pancreatic bud. Okay, obviously बात है, अगर नीचे होगा तो after rotation it will be not in the same plane, right? So it is a little above, okay, so a little cephalic I would say, than the ventral pancreatic bud. Now this duct, basically they develop right at the junction of the foregut and the midgut, right? These buds basically they develop. Okay, this is develop at the junction between the foregut and midgut. तो मतलब ये बिल्कुल distal portion of the foregut पे these two buds will be developing, the ventral and the dorsal pancreatic bud. Now what will happen? There will be something called as the 90-degree rotation. There will be something called as the 90-degree rotation. Now you already know that. Now let us suppose this is the duodenum, right? This is the developing duodenum, and duodenum, it is a C-shaped structure, right? This is the duodenum, and pancreas basically they lie in the arms of the duodenum, so it is also called as the romance of the duodenum, right? So over here you already know the proximal part of the duodenum, it is basically developed from the foregut, and the distal part of the duodenum, it is developed from the midgut, right? So you will have one bud over here. Yes, let me show that bud. That is the ventral pancreatic bud, because it is towards the anterior abdominal wall. It is the ventral pancreatic bud. Okay, so these ventral pancreatic buds basically initially they are like 2 in number. So I can draw 2 ventral pancreatic buds. So yes, let me just draw it 2. So yes, they are 2 in number like this, and we have the dorsal pancreatic bud like this. So it is the dorsal pancreatic bud, DPB, and these two are the ventral pancreatic bud. Now these ventral pancreatic bud, they will rotate 90-degree in a clockwise rotation, right? They will try to rotate 90-degree in a clockwise rotation. Okay, and remember what will happen, they will try to move to other side, right? They are facing anteriorly right now, they are facing anteriorly, and these ventral pancreatic buds, if they rotate to 90-degree, okay, they will come on the left side, and again they will undergo 180-degree rotation. Okay, and again they will undergo 180-degree rotation. 180-degree rotation. What will happen, the ventral pancreatic buds which are facing towards the left side will come 90-degree पीछे की तरफ आया towards the back, and again it will come towards the right hand side with the pancreas. Okay, now it is only the ventral pancreatic buds which are rotating, right? Ventral pancreatic buds which are rotating, and this is actually this rotation is due to the differential growth in the duodenum. Okay, the differential growth in the duodenum. Okay, now when I say differential growth in the duodenum, now it clearly means that, for example, if I take 2 points, point A and point B. So point A of duodenum, it is growing, growing, cells are dividing. So this point of duodenum where the ventral pancreatic bud is attached, this point, the cells are proliferating here. So what it will do, it will shift this ventral pancreatic bud to the left side, means in a rotation like first 90-degree, and then it will be to 180 degrees, right? So in total 270 degrees rotation is going on, but the B point will not grow. The B point where the dorsal pancreatic bud is there, it will not grow. It is only the A point which will grow, and due to the growth in this part of the duodenum, it will shift the ventral pancreatic bud to the dorsal side, right? To the site where the dorsal pancreatic bud is present, right? So now after it 180 degrees rotation, let us just see what the structures I will get over here. Yeah. So let us suppose this is the duodenum, the C-shaped duodenum, and in this duodenum, right, this is the dorsal pancreatic bud. This is the dorsal pancreatic bud, and yes, the ventral pancreatic bud will also come over here, right? And this will fuse, these two buds will fuse, giving rise to only one bud, that is called as the ventral pancreatic bud, right? Yeah. Now the it will like fuse with each other, and like, yeah. So now what are the structures that are developing from the dorsal pancreatic bud and the ventral pancreatic bud? Let us try to draw this and understand. Yeah. Let us suppose this is the C-shaped duodenum. Okay. This is the duodenum. Okay. The proximal half I have already told you, it is formed from the foregut, right? And yes, over here we have this dorsal pancreatic bud, right? And we also have this ventral pancreatic bud. So this is the dorsal pancreatic bud, and this is the ventral pancreatic bud. Now the dorsal pancreatic bud, okay, it has a duct Okay, it has a duct. This duct which I am drawing right now, it is called as the dorsal pancreatic duct. Okay, it is called as the dorsal pancreatic duct, and there is a duct in the ventral pancreatic bud. This duct, it is called as the ventral pancreatic duct. Right. So both the buds will have the duct in them. The dorsal will have the dorsal pancreatic duct and the ventral will have the ventral pancreatic duct. Now, the dorsal pancreatic duct will give rise to, okay, the dorsal pancreatic bud, I'm saying bud, it will give rise to upper head, okay, the upper part of the head, okay, it will give rise to the neck of the pancreas, right? It will give rise to the body of the pancreas and the tail of the pancreas, the tail of the pancreas. So we have upper head, neck, body and tail of the pancreas coming from the dorsal pancreatic bud. Now from the ventral pancreatic bud, we will have the lower part of the head or the lower head. Repeating the last line again. So from the lower part of the ventral pancreatic bud, we have the lower head of the pancreas, and one process that is called as uncinate process of the pancreas. Uncinate process of the pancreas. So we have the dorsal pancreatic bud and the ventral pancreatic bud giving rise to the different structures of the pancreas, right? Now, you already know that the ventral pancreatic bud will open into the second part of the duodenum, okay, that is the major duodenal papillae, okay, it will open into the major duodenal papillae, and this major duodenal papillae, it is the second part of the duodenum, right? Now, pancreas are having two ducts, right? Over here, now what will happen, there will be an abnormal connection which will develop, okay, there will be an abnormal repeating the last line. Over here there will be an oblique connection, right, which will develop between the ventral and the dorsal pancreatic bud, and this is called as the oblique communication. This is called as the oblique communication. This is called as the oblique communication, right? Now, remember that the pancreas basically it has two ducts. It has two ducts. The first one, it is the major duct, okay? The major duct of the pancreas, that is called as the duct of Wirsung, duct of Wirsung. Okay, now the duct of Wirsung, it is made from, just see the highlighter which I am like trying to show you, it is made from the distal part of this dorsal pancreatic duct. It is made from the oblique communication and the entire ventral pancreatic duct, So the major duct of the pancreas, it is formed from three structures, right? It is formed from three structures, 1, 2 and 3. So let us just name it one by one. So yes, we have the first one, right? We have the first one. Now the first one, it is the ventral pancreatic duct. Ventral pancreatic duct, right? We have the ventral pancreatic duct. Second, we have the oblique communication. Oblique communication. And the third one, it is the distal part. देखो, पास वाला जो होगा वो प्रॉक्सिमल होगा, दूर वाला क्या हो जाएगा, डिस्टल. सो वी हैव द डिस्टल पार्ट of dorsal pancreatic duct. Right, distal part of dorsal pancreatic duct. Now the left part which you can see over here, which I'm highlighting with green now, which I'm highlighting with green right now. So this is the minor duodenal papilla. I mean, repeat. So this is the minor duct of the pancreas. Now let me just write it. Yeah. So we have the second one, that is the minor duct. Okay, the minor duct of the pancreas. It is also called as the duct of Centroni. It is also called as the duct of Centroni. And yes, it is composed of this particular part that I am marking with 1. So it is the proximal part of dorsal pancreatic duct. Proximal part of dorsal pancreatic duct. So this slide is very important. So you can put a $sign on this particular slide. I have given everything in one picture, right? So dorsal pancreatic bud will give rise to upper head, neck, body and tail of pancreas. The ventral pancreatic bud will give rise to lower part of the head and the uncinate process. When we come to the duct, the major and the minor duct, it is called as the duct of Wirsung, and duct of Wirsung basically it is arising from 3 structures. The dorsal, the distal part of the dorsal pancreatic duct, the oblique communication and the ventral pancreatic duct. Whereas when we come to the minor duct, that is the duct of Centroni, so it is the proximal part of the dorsal pancreatic duct, right? So yes, this was about the development of the pancreas, right? So you already know towards the end part, right? In the pancreas, right, we have several ductules, right? So let us suppose this is the developing pancreas, and you already know that we have several ductules over here in the pancreas, right? These ductules are also developing, right? And yeah, these ductules are giving rise to these acinees, right? So yeah, the cluster of this acinus, which you can see over here, right? So that is something which is called as the islets of Langerhans. Islets of Langerhans, right? So yes, it is actually developed around the 3rd month of the intrauterine life, right? So these are separated cells of acinus. No, these are clustered cells of acinus, I can say. So yes, so that was about the development of the pancreas. Now coming on to the 2 congenital anomalies. So let us discuss the 2 congenital anomalies associated with pancreatic development. Congenital anomalies. The first one, it is the pancreatic divisum. Pancreatic divisum. Now, remember beta, it is the most common congenital anomaly. It is the most common congenital anomaly of the pancreas. It is the most common congenital anomalies of the pancreas. Okay, it is the failure of fusion of dorsal and ventral pancreatic buds. Failure of fusion of dorsal and ventral pancreatic buds. So you already know, I have told you. Oh, okay, if you just see in this picture, this is the ventral pancreatic bud and we have the dorsal pancreatic bud. They both have to fuse, right? If they both are not fusing, what will happen? The dorsal pancreatic duct and the ventral pancreatic duct, they will open separately, okay? They will open independently, right? So remember, if the ventral and the dorsal pancreatic ducts, they are the buds, they are not fused, the ducts will open separately. Both the ducts open separately. Now or independently, right? So this can increase the risk of pancreatitis. It can increase the risk of inflammation of the pancreas, that is called as pancreatitis, right? Now, these patients are usually asymptomatic. These patients are usually asymptomatic and there is no management which is required. There is no management which is required as of now. Agar if there is increased risk of pancreatitis, okay, we have to like cut out the sphincters, right? So this is called a sphinctectomy, right? So yes, and over here you can do the diagnosis of this particular condition by MRCP, that is called as MRCP, that is called as the magnetic resonance, okay, cholangiopancreatography. Magnetic resonance cholangiopancreatography. Okay, or you can do ERCP also. ERCP also, it is called as endoscopic retrograde cholangiography. Endoscopy retrograde cholangiopancreatography. Right, so this was about the pancreatic divisum. Now coming on to the other congenital anomaly associated with pancreas. Yes, this is called as pancreatic, or I can say annular pancreas. Okay, it is called as the annular pancreas, right? Now, in annular pancreas, you already know. Let us just draw this and understand. Now this is the the dorsal pancreatic bud. This is the dorsal pancreatic bud, and over here we have, yes, the ventral pancreatic bud. Ventral pancreatic bud. Now, initially the ventral pancreatic bud has to actually rotate in a clockwise direction. Now, if there is malrotation or ventral pancreatic duct, it is going anti-clockwise. Okay. Now, one bud, ventral pancreatic bud, it is having like two parts, right? It is like the two buds you can see. One, it is rotating in anti-clockwise direction, and one, it is rotating in clockwise direction. So what will happen? The duodenum will be like encased by the this ventral pancreatic bud. कहने का मतलब है duodenum को पूरा का पूरा जकड़ लेगा कौन? This ventral pancreatic bud. So remember, in annular pancreas we have malrotation of ventral pancreatic bud, malrotation of the ventral pancreatic bud, right? There is encasement of the duodenum, encasement of the duodenum. Duodenum के चारों तरफ, it is like surrounded by this ventral pancreatic duct, and usually it involves the second part of the duodenum. Usually involves the second part of the duodenum, right? It is the second part of the duodenum only. Okay. Now, if it is involving the second part of duodenum, okay, if it is encasing the duodenum, it can lead to, okay, it can lead to duodenal stenosis. It can lead to duodenal stenosis, okay, or duodenal obstruction, I can say. Okay, it can lead to duodenal obstruction. Can lead to duodenal obstruction. Now, what are the clinical features you will find over here? You will find that the baby is having projectile vomiting, okay, because the food particles, they are not going down due to the obstruction, right? And this is a non-bilious vomiting, right? This is a non-bilious vomiting, okay? So non-bilious vomiting, it is not containing the bile and all, so it is the most common, followed by the bilious vomiting, right? There can be bilious vomiting as well. Apart from that, on the X-ray, right? On the X-ray, you will get a double bubble sign over here, right? And so the investigation of choice, right? Over here will be CECT, that is the contrast enhanced computer tomography, right? Okay, on the X-ray, you will get a double bubble sign, and what is like the treatment that you will do? The treatment, you will actually cut this part of the duodenum, okay, and you will join the rest of the duodenum with the jejunum, or you can either join the rest part of the duodenum with the duodenum only. So this is called as the duodenostomy, or you can do duodenojejunostomy. So this is about the annular pancreas. Thank you.